We have just sung, God bless all those who join with us and raise their voice in song. God bless each of us, old or young, within this joyful throng. God bless our generation who live both far and near, and we wish them a happy new year. So this is our concert this evening. It's really a New Year's greetings in words and music. And I suppose at this time of the year, we usually hear the whole or part of or a bit of the Messiah. And what better item to start this evening than a couple of solos from that great work. 3 weeks ago, we had a members' entertainment here in the chapel. It was just InCon members performing to each other, and we were very fortunate we did actually have an audience. And it was about 14 of the members stood up and sang solos and duets. Some of them had never been and done any solo work at all, so it was quite an interesting evening. And we're going to have two soloists now, Melanie and Joyce, and they're going to sing He Shall Feed His Flock and Come Unto Him. writing the most beautiful music. And in fact, he was in Newton Abbot a few weeks ago with a workshop, an all-day workshop on his Requiem, and it was attended by about 200 singers, and apparently they had the most wonderful day, and he is just a fantastic person. So this is this lullaby, and it was actually written in celebration of the 70th birthday of Sir David Wilcox. And then after that, we're going to go back over 100 years, and we're going to sing, or Vala is going to sing, with just me as well, Brahms's lullaby.
Angels are singing, the soft bells hear.
Jonathan Wilcox. This one is the well-known On This Day.
Take
months as learning legal spirituals, and really we've rather enjoyed the next 3. They're quite challenging. We hope you enjoy them. The Virgin Mary and a baby boy steal away and go tell it on the mountain.
The Virgin Mary had a baby boy. The Virgin Mary had a baby boy. The Virgin Mary had a baby boy, and they said that his name was Jesus. He come from the glory
Riding by the poet Henry Longfellow.
Three kings came riding from far away, Melchior and Gaspar and Balthazar. Three wise men out of the east were they. They travelled by night, and they slept by day. For their guide was a beautiful, wonderful star.
The star was so beautiful, large and clear, that all the other stars in the sky became a white mist in the atmosphere. And by this they knew that the coming was near of the prince foretold the prophecy.
3 caskets they bore on their saddle bows, 3 caskets of gold with golden keys. Their robes were of crimson silk, with rows of bells and pomegranates and furbelows. Their turbans like blossoming almond trees.
And when they came to Jerusalem, Herod the Great, who had heard this thing, sent for the wise men and questioned them, and said, Go down unto Bethlehem, and bring me tidings of this new king.
So they rode away, and the star stood still, the only one in the grey of morn. Yes, it stopped. It stood still of its own free will, right over Bethlehem on the hill, the city of David, where Christ was born.
And the 3 kings rode through the gate of the guard, through the silent street, till the horses turned and neighed as they entered the great inn yard. But the windows were closed, and the doors were barred, and only a light from the stable burned.
And cradled there in the scented hay, in the air made sweet by the breath of kine, the little child in the manger lay, the child that would be king one day of a kingdom, not human, but divine.
They laid their offerings at his feet. The gold was their tribute to a king. The frankincense, with its odor sweet, was for the priest, the paraclete, the myrrh upon his burial.
Then the kings rode out of the city gate with a clatter of hoofs in sound array. But they went not back to Herod the Great, for they knew his malice and feared his hate, and returned to their homes by another way.
Now we would like to say wonderful Oh Holy Night by Adolf Adam, and Barbie and Mike are our soloists.
Long lay
1955, and it comes from his Songs of Sanctuary. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The words don't mean anything. They're not words. They're meant to be really just a sort of vocalise, and he's written it without words because it's meant to have sort of an ethnic meaning for everybody in the whole world. And I do think actually it speaks an awful lot. Just the sort of the way that the song just goes on and on and on. I hope you enjoy it. It's something very special. Every year at this time, on New Year's Day, we have that wonderful concert from Vienna of Johann Strauss's music. So it seemed right to include something this evening of his music. And that wonderful Nun's Chorus, and I expect you're saying Nun's Chorus. I think I know this song. Well, you will know it. It's so famous, it's been sung by so many people over the years. And it came from a show called Casanova, and it was arranged from Strauss's music, and it opened in London Coliseum in 1932. And actually, nothing of it really remains nowadays except this wonderful Nun's Chorus. And Janet is going to join the nuns in this song.
Oh,
And on the 31st of December in 1956, they opened their show at the drop of a hat. Sadly, they are no longer with us, but we do have their wonderful songs. And because the second half of this programme is much more in a lighter vein, it's shows, pantomimes, fun, the things that go on at this time of the year, I thought that you might like to have two of their songs. First, Mike is going to sing Armadillo, and then 5 of our men, not Ralph, who is on the programme. Ralph is the music master at the college here, and I think he's having a well-earned rest, and he's actually not back in Ashburton yet. So Martin is going to stand in for him. They are going to sing The Gas Man Come. First, Mike.
Be my
this morning the electrician came. He called me Mr. Ivanhoe, which isn't quite the name. He couldn't reach the fuse box without standing on the bin, and his foot went through a window, so I called the glazier in.
Oh, we know makes work for the working man to do.
Was on a Thursday morning, the glazier came along, with his blowtorch and his batting and his merry glazier song. He put another penny, it took no time at all, and I had to get the tender to come and bend along.
Oh, we know makes work for the working man to do.
Was on a Friday morning, the painter made a start. With undercoats and overcoats, he painted every part, every nook and every cranny. But I found when he was gone, he'd painted over the gas tap, and I couldn't turn it on.
Oh, we know makes work for the working man to do. On Saturday and Sunday, they could not work at all. So 'twas on the Monday morning that the gasman came.
We all know the feeling, don't we? This concert this evening, we're very, very happy that is being put on for the Ashburton Museum, and we do wish it all great success, and it's wonderful for us to be doing something for them, because we feel very much linked here with the chapel. We're very lucky we rehearse here, and we do quite a few performances here, and both the museum and the chapel have so many wonderful things to do with Ashburton, so we feel very honoured that we are actually helping the museum this evening. I suppose the song that we hear over and over again this time of the year is the 12 Days of Christmas, and I've no doubt you can recite the whole lot, number 12, downwards. Well, here we are with two variations. The first one is just a correspondence.
December, my dearest darling, that partridge in that lovely little pear tree. What an enchanting, romantic, poetic present. Bless you and thank you. Your deeply loving Emily.
The 26th of December, my dearest darling Edward, the two turtle doves arrived this morning and are cooing away in the pear tree as I write. I am so touched and grateful, with undying love, as always, Emily.
27th of December, my darling Edward, you do think of the most original presents. Whoever thought of sending anybody 3 French hens? Do they really come all the way from France? It's a pity that we have no good chicken coops, but I expect you'll find some. Thank you anyway, they are lovely.
28th of December. Dearest Edward, what a surprise. 4 calling birds arrived this morning. They are very sweet, even if they do call rather loudly. They make telephoning impossible, but I expect they'll calm down when they get used to their new home. Anyway, I'm very grateful. Well, of course I am. Love from Emily.
29th of December. Dearest Edward, the postman has just delivered 5 most beautiful gold rings, 1 for each finger, and all fitting perfectly. A really lovely present. Lovelier in a way than the birds, which do take rather a lot of looking after. The 4 that arrived yesterday are still making a terrible row, and I'm afraid none of us got much sleep last night. Mummy says she wants to use the rings to wring their necks. She's only joking, I think.
find when I opened the front door this morning, it certainly wasn't 6 socking great geese laying eggs all over the doorstep. Frankly, I rather hope you will stop sending me birds. We have no room for them, and they have already ruined the croquet lawn. I know you meant well, but let's call a halt, shall we? Love, Emily.
31st of December. Edward, I thought I said no more birds, but this morning I woke up to find no less than 7 swans, all trying to get into our tiny goldfish pond. I'd rather not think what happened to the goldfish. The whole house seems to be full of birds, to say nothing of what they leave behind them. Please, please stop. Your Emily.
1st of January. Frankly, I think I prefer the birds. What am I to do with 8 milkmaids and their cows? Is this some kind of a joke? If so, I'm afraid I don't find it very amusing. Emily.
2nd of January. Look here, Edward, this has gone far enough. You say you're sending me 9 ladies dancing. All I can say is that judging from the way they dance, they're certainly not ladies. The village just isn't accustomed to seeing a regiment of shameless hussies with nothing on but their lipstick, cavorting around the green, and it's Mummy and I who get blamed. If you value our friendship, which I do less and less, kindly stop this ridiculous behaviour at once. Emily.
3rd of January. As I write this letter, 10 disgusting old men are prancing about all over what used to be my garden, before the geese and the swans and the cows got there, and several of them, I notice, are taking inexcusable liberties with the milkmaid. Meanwhile, the neighbours are trying to have us evicted. I shall never speak to you again, Emily.
4th of January. This is the last straw. You know I detest bagpipes. The place has now become something between a menagerie and a madhouse, and a man from the council has just declared it unfit for habitation. At least Mummy has been spared this last outrage. They took her away yesterday afternoon in an ambulance. I hope you're satisfied.
5th of January. Sir, our client, Miss Emily Wilbraham, instructs me to inform you that with the arrival on her premises at 7:30 this morning of the entire percussion section of the Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra and several of their friends, she has no course left open to her but to seek an injunction to prevent your importuning her further. I am making arrangements for the return of much assorted livestock. I am, sir, yours faithfully, G. Creek, Solicitor at Law.
John and Martin are going to recite a lovely one by Roald Dahl. So sit back and enjoy.
Just to keep the children happy. Mind you, they got the first piece right, the bed where in the dead of night, the ugly sisters, jewels and all, departed for the palace ball.
While darling little Cinderella was locked up in a slimy cellar, where rats who wanted things to eat began to nibble at her feet. She shouted, "Ow! And let me out!"
Get in the car. The magic fairy. What's this written here? Light plastic. Yeah. Appearing in a blaze of light. John Parks, you take this outside tonight, you're in trouble. She said, "Oh my dear, are you all right?"
"All right," cried Cindy. "Can't you see? I feel as rotten as can be." She beat her fist against the wall and shouted, "Get me to the ball! There is a disco at the palace, the rest have gone, and I am jealous. I want a dress, I want a coach, and earrings, and a diamond brooch, and silver slippers, 2 of those, and lovely nylon pantyhose. Done up like that, I guarantee the handsome prince will fall from me."
The fairy said, "Hang on, touched it." The fairy said, "Oh, hang on a tick." One. She gave her mighty wand a flick. And quickly, in no time at all, Cindy was at the palace door. Well, sooner or later. It made the ugly sisters wince. Oh, very good that. It made the ugly sisters wince to see her dancing with the prince. She held him very tight and pressed. Herself too, his manly chest. You can't get a hold of him like that. Carry on.
The prince himself was turned to pulp. All he could do was gasp and gulp. Then midnight struck. She shouted,
"Away! I've got to run to save me neck!"
The prince cried, "No, alas, alack," and grabbed her dress and pulled her back. And Cindy...
While Cindy shouted, "Let me go!" Her dress was ripped from head to toe. She ran out.
More like a judgment.
She ran out in her underwear and lost one slipper on the stair.
The prince was on it, like a dog. He pressed it to her pounding heart. "The girl this slipper fits," he cried, "tomorrow morn shall be my bride. I'll visit every house in town until I track the maiden down."
Then rather carelessly, I fear, he placed it on a crate of beer. And at once the ugly sister sisters, the one whose face was blotched with blisters, sneaked up and grabbed that dainty shoe and quickly flushed it down the loo. Then in its place she calmly put, drop man, thank you. She congrats to that and then calmly put the slipper from her own left foot. Aha, you see, the plot grows thicker, and Cindy's luck is looking sicker.
Next day, the prince went charging down to knock on all the doors in town. Who was the owner of the shoe?
The shoe was long and very wide. A normal foot was lost inside, and also smelled a wee bit icky. That's because the owner's feet was often sticky. Thousands of eager people came to try it on, but all in vain. Now came the ugly sisters go. One tried it on.
The prince screamed, "No!"
But she screamed, "Yes, it fits, whoopee." Why do you give me that one? Whoopee. So now you've got to marry me.
The prince went white from ear to ear. He muttered, "Let me out of here."
Oh, no, you don't, you maid of ours. There's no way now you can back out now as well.
"Off with her head!" the prince fought back. They chopped it off with Javon whack. This pleased the prince. He smiled and said, "She's prettier without a head."
Then up came sister number 2, who yelled, "Now I will try the shoe."
"Try this instead," the prince yelled back. He swung his trusty sword. Sword?
Sword?
Sword. He swung his trusty sword and smack. The head went crashing to the ground. It bounced a bit and rolled around.
In the kitchen, peeling spuds, Cinderella heard the buds of bouncing eggs upon the floor and poked her own head round the door. "What's all this racket?" Cindy cried.
"Mind your own biz," the prince replied.
Poor Cindy's heart was torn to shreds.
Oh, God.
My prince, she thought, he chops off heads. How can I marry anyone who does that sort of thing for fun?
The prince cried, "Who's this dirty slut? Off with a nut! Off with a nut!"
Sure, sister. Just then in the just then in a blaze of light, the magic fairy. Alright, so it wasn't as bright as the London Indiana, don't it? Just then, in a blaze of light, the magic fairy opened in sight. Her magic wand went swoosh and swish. Was it swishy swish? Swish. "Cindy," she cried, "come make a wish. Wish anything and have no doubt that I will make it come about."
Cindy answered, "Oh, kind fairy, this time I shall be more wary. No more princes, no more money. I have had my taste of honey. I'm wishing for a decent man."
Who are we over there? Let's just ask her.
But they're hard to find. Do you think I can?
No. Within a minute, Cinderella was married to a lovely fella, a simple jam maker betrayed, who sold good homemade marmalade. Their house was filled with smiles and laughter, and they were happy ever after.
Cinderella will never be the same again. We're going to move on to Gilbert and Sullivan, because I think really a concert like this has got to include some of those delightful numbers. And we're going to start with that wonderful for us from the pirates of Penzance when the foeman bears his steel. And there are the police. There are the... Yes. And all these wonderful ladies are the Major General's daughters. And Janet is going to join us as well for this number. today, as they did 100 years ago. We're going to go on to Patience and sing a lovely chorus. It comes in the finale of Act 1, and it really, I've no point telling the story because it doesn't really relate at all to this piece. I hear the soft note.
She
bright and blue, and everybody will proudly vow she's fair as flowers in May, and say how clever at whatsoever she condescends to say.
Old Lang Syne.
Thank you.
Somewhat unusually, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to congratulate, first of all, our audience for tonight for braving the threat of the weather forecast. Thank you so much for coming and supporting both the singers and the museum. But my main object this evening is to thank the InCon singers, all of you. I do this with some trepidation, since the last time I spoke at a musical event was, in fact, the first time I spoke in public. I was 9 years old, and it was at the concert of Cubs and Brownies, and I was picked off the floor to make a speech of thanks. And I started off, and the only words I said was, "That was a howling success." But it was indeed taken away. But I cannot attempt to emulate the wit and the sheer variety of your ability to entertain. We have, all of us this evening, enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you very much indeed. There are some names I particularly like to mention, and I hope you'll forgive me for having done this in view of my previous history in speaking at musical events. First of all, could we give thanks to Sheila Hahn, the musical director. The accompanied Rob Young and the soloist Janet Disney. And finally, of the names, Brenda Morrisoni, the coordinator. So thanks to all of you, not only for entertaining us this evening, but for being so kind as to help the museum. We do appreciate it, and we shall make great use of the funds that do come our way from this evening and tomorrow evening's entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Good night.